Hi guys, Jarrid here. If you don't know me, my name's Jarrid. I work with the Beverly Council on Aging and the Beverly Athletic Club in order to bring fitness to the elderly population. It's a passion of mine for sure. I love to help people that are in the older population really just move. You notice a lot of people have trouble maybe lifting their arm extremely overhead. You know, you can see that I don't have a problem with that, but some people are stuck here, or you can see that they're kind of rounded a little bit. You know, some people walk like this and things. And I really hate to see that in the general public. So it is my goal to really help fight those things. So that's why I wanted to get in front of the camera today and just do a couple things for you guys that you can do at home or wherever you are and you feel comfortable doing it. All you really need is a chair, maybe a couple dumbbells, and a band if you have it. If you don't, that's okay. You can still do the movements and you can still do most of the program and get a huge benefit out of doing that. So all I ask is that you follow along and of course just do the best that you can, because that means that we're still working and that means that you're going to improve through that, okay? So normally in my class, I start with what we call the CARS routine. That stands for Controlled Articulate Rotation, meaning controlled rotation of your joint, and articulation is your joint, right? So we want to make sure that we're moving these in proper ways, because if we don't, I'm sure you've all heard the expression, if you don't use it, you lose it. So that definitely happens as we get older. Even now, I'm figuring out that my hips and things are starting to get a little tight, and I'm only 24 years old. So if I'm not correcting these things right now, by the time I'm 70 years old, I'm definitely going to be one of those people that's like this, I can't really walk well, and that's not fun. I really don't want to be in those positions, because that limits everything that I can do. So in order to improve that, we're gonna go through the CARS routine and then a couple exercises. So follow along, and remember, it is not a cheat to have a chair next to you. You definitely want something that you can use to brace against, because that's really gonna help you control those movements, and I don't have to worry about balancing, because I'm worried about balancing, I'm not gonna get the most out of that movement. Okay, so just like in the class, we're gonna start full body. I'm gonna start all the way at my head, and I'm gonna work all the way down to my ankles, okay? So remember, nice and slow. We're moving through butter. The air is about just 30% thicker, so just move a little bit slower and a little bit with intention, if you will, for the next couple things. So we're gonna start with the CAR for the head. So repeat after me, it's very simple. Take your chin, and I want you to sink it down into your collarbones. Okay, from here, I've created no space. There is no space at all. And I want to make sure that I keep my mouth closed when I do this too, because if I don't, I won't stretch these muscles. Okay, so make sure the mouth's closed. Just for the demonstration of the video, I will be talking, but when you do it at home, try to keep that mouth closed so you really get a good stretch through here. So I'm going to bring my chin all the way down to my collarbone. And what I want to do is I want to scrape it up the right side. I don't want to drag my entire head to the side. I want to scrape just that chin. So my chin is going to come down. I scrape that chin up my collarbone. Okay, I can really feel all the tension in my neck right there. All that tension is really starting to build up. So I scrape my collarbone up the side. From here, I want to close the gap that's behind me. So I've dropped my head back, still keeping that contact between my chin and my collarbone to the best of my ability. From here, we're gonna do a big half circle. Okay, and again, 30% slower, nice and slow. I'm just rotating my head. Once my left ear goes over my left shoulder, I'm now on the whole other side. I can feel the stretch on this side now. I'm going to drop my chin back to the collarbone, but I don't want to bring my shoulder up to my chin. Okay, I want to bring my chin down to my collarbone. I then want to scrape it back towards the middle, from that middle right there. Now freeze. I'm going to go back the other way. So I start to go up my left collarbone. I drop that left ear over that left shoulder. Do that big half circle that we did before. Okay, once I'm on this side, right ear over that right shoulder. Drop that collarbone down. Then I'm going to scrape that back towards the middle. And then from there, I can come up out of it. That is our head CAR. The next thing that we're going to go into, of course, is our thoracic spine CAR. Okay, so we're moving down the body. This one is very important that you don't move your hips. When I use my thoracic spine, okay, I'll show you from the side too, it's only this top part of my body. If I'm doing this, now this is my low back and my lower spine, this is my lumbar spine. We're not moving that upper part of the spine anymore. And if I'm doing this while I'm doing it as well, I'm not really using my spine, I'm just bending at the hips, and I'm not gonna get any benefit from doing this. So lock yourself into place when I do this. I like to think that I can't move. There's two walls on the side of me, and I just can't move my hips, okay? So what I'm gonna do, just like we always do, I'll show you from the side, that thoracic spine, I have to crunch down onto myself. Okay, I'm basically thinking about taking my rib cage and sinking them into my belly button. Okay, as soon as I do that, I feel all of these muscles start to engage. That's what we're looking for, okay? So, and a way to not cheat, I like to cross my arms over my body. I'm gonna sink down into myself, right? So I've controlled that spine. From this point, just like the head car, I'm going to rotate towards the side. Okay, notice I haven't moved my hips, but I can feel all this tissue is starting to come to life. Okay, so I've rotated. Just like the head car, I'm gonna bring myself back. I want you to pretend there's a barrel behind you. I'm draping myself over this barrel. Now I've extended my spine to the point I can't any further, and I'm really feeling a good stretch around my back and my core right now. I wanna roll this just like I rolled the other side. Okay, so I'm rolling just like my head. I roll into that left side. I'm gonna drop that left shoulder down to that pocket behind me. I'm then gonna come up off the barrel, contracting through my spine again. And then I'm gonna rotate myself towards the middle, just like that head card. At this point, I'm going to freeze. I'm gonna rotate myself towards that left. All that tissue starts to come into play. I'm really cranking that. I'm gonna bring myself back over that barrel. Big half circle. Again, with only that upper spine. I'm not trying to move my hips at all. I'm on the right side now. I'm gonna bring myself off that barrel. Then I scrape myself back towards the middle. All right, that is our thoracic spine car. The next one we're gonna go into is the shoulder. This is the second most important behind the hips. So really make sure when I say rotate, do those things, right? When I say rotate, keep going, I know the tissue doesn't want to move anymore, but try. You're gonna feel all of that tissue come to life. You're gonna feel all the way through your shoulder and everything else too. That's what you're looking for, okay? Make sure you feel those things. If I just do this and I'm not rotating any harder and I don't feel any of that tissue, I haven't done anything for myself. So really try to make sure that you're cranking into that tissue. Promise you're not gonna hurt yourself, and it will probably actually feel really good after too, because you've contracted all that tissue and you said, hey, relax after, so you just let's go, okay? And after this, you'll probably find you could actually reach overhead a little bit better than you could before. So the results are immediate. We just have to do it over time in order for them to become permanent. All right, so the shoulder car, I'm gonna start with my right side. It's always a good idea to irradiate. What that means is I wanna make a fist with my left hand because I'm distracting myself by squeezing all this tissue. Once I've done that, now I can use this side to go through. So I'm gonna start with my palm facing forward. I'm gonna bring that across my body, okay? Arm stays nice and long. I'm trying not to bend my elbow. Arm's gonna come across my collarbone, okay? Continually rising up over my body. Right. I'm gonna have to keep going back and back and back. Notice my thumb is almost behind me now. So right about here is my end range of motion. I just can't go any further. It's just not gonna work for me. I just don't have the mobility because the space is just ended. This is the end range of the joint. However, what I can do now, if I rotate my arm, external rotation, I can now bring that behind me. Okay, so I'm externally rotating, and notice my hand, I'm still trying to rotate, Even here, it won't go any further. I am still cranking that tissue, okay? I'm really trying to get that behind me. Right about here is my relax point. So my thumb is all the way behind me. I've rotated, I'm continuing to rotate as hard as I can. It's not gonna go anywhere, but I'm still trying. I'm feeling all this tissue, all the way up to my shoulder, the back here. Everything is alive right now. That's really what I'm looking for, okay? So at this point, I can't go any further either way, so I have to bring my arm back. Okay, right about here is my new end point with external rotation. I'm back here. I now want to rotate the opposite way and start to bring that arm back around again. Okay, so notice my thumb is now facing behind me again, just like it was before. I start to bring that back down across my body, and I'm still trying to rotate that other direction. I'm still trying to crank all of this tissue, still trying to rotate. And I end up right about here, right in our original start point. Notice my palm's facing forward again, but I'm still trying to crank that tissue, okay? So that is our first car. We're gonna go through 2 of those on each side because again, the shoulder is second most important to the hip car. So one more time on that right side, just a little bit faster because we understand it now. Palm faces forward to start. I'm gonna bring that all the way across my body. I bring my arm all the way up overhead. Thumb is facing directly behind me. At this point, I can't go any further. I have to rotate my hand. Okay, I'm rotating, still rotating. Right about here is my end point. Okay, I can't go any further. It just will not happen. I can't rotate anymore. So I have to bring this back. At this point, this is my end range. I can feel all this tissue coming in. I start to bring my hand in the opposite direction, rotating the other way. Start to bring that back around. Still rotating, still trying to push, still trying to push. Bring that back, and then down. Alrighty, we're gonna do one on the other side just to demonstrate. The same exact thing happens on the left and the right. Palm faces forward. I bring that all the way across my body. I bring it up overhead. Bring this behind me by rotating my arm behind me. Now it is perfectly okay if the sides feel different. There's no big deal to that. One side is just gonna move better than the other. That's always going to be the case, especially with your hips, okay? So arms behind me just like before. End range of motion, pushing that back. Rotate that hand back through, continually rotate. I'm bringing that up high. Bring that down across the collarbone, and then down. So one thing you might notice with the shoulders especially, if there is a pinch point where you feel pain, let's say for example, I start to bring my arm across my body and right about here, it starts to hurt. This tissue just doesn't like that movement. That's perfectly okay. That is your closing point. Your body is saying, hey, I actually don't have that mobility. You're trying to put me into that. That hurts. That's what that signal is. All you have to do is instead of being here, just let yourself come out a little bit. You shouldn't feel that closing angle pain anymore, and then I can still continue with that car, okay? So the next thing that we're going to do is our elbow and wrist cars, just continuing down the whole body. So remember, if I'm using my elbow, I want to pinch that into my side, right? I can't allow anything to happen from the humerus up here, because if so, then I'm not using that elbow joint anymore, okay? So both hands right here. So I like to keep my elbows 90 degrees to start. What I'm going to do, it's the same exact thing. Think about cranking those tissues, okay? Hands come up, rotate the palms down. I can really feel that tissue come to life. Hands down. Right about here, I'm gonna rotate again. Bring the arms up, over, down. Let's do that one more time. Flip the hands, bring them up, flip, down, freeze, up, flip the hands, down, over, up, under, down. Okay, so if you were doing that at home, make sure you're really cranking that tissue. You should really feel all of that tissue come to life, okay? If you're doing it right, there's no way you're not feeling all of that forearm tissue, maybe up into the bicep as well. You should really feel that starting to wring out like a dish towel, okay? The next thing that we're going to do is the wrist car. I have a lot of good things about this one. Improving wrist and finger mobility is huge for anybody. If you have trouble gripping anything, feel like you don't have dexterity, if you write one sentence and your hand's already cramping, you need some of this in your life, okay? So definitely do these at home because it just feels better to be able to move those wrists and things, especially if you have arthritis. It just feels good to move, okay? So with the wrist car, I want you to pretend that you have a cell phone on your forearm, okay? And you cannot let that fall. So what that looks like. Same exact start position, except I'm only going to move my wrists, okay? And I wanna make sure that my hands don't become flippers. I'm not bending my fingers, I'm trying to keep them straight. I'm bending at the wrist, okay? So we're gonna start just like that 90-degree position, but I'm only moving the wrist. So what that looks like, I'm gonna bring my wrists, pinkies together, okay? Then I'm gonna bring my pinkies down, bringing my thumbs up. I then wanna bring my pinkies away from each other, and now I'm bringing my hands back down. Okay, and notice I'm not bending the fingers are totally straight. So pinkies together, the best of your ability. I wanna bring my thumbs up, pinkies away from each other, and then everything down. We're gonna do that one more time. Pinkies together, thumbs up, pinkies away from themselves, pinkies down. At this point, we're gonna freeze, hands up instead, pinkies together. I'm gonna open my hands to you like a gift. This is my gift to you, I'm opening my hands. Pinkies away. One more time. We're gonna go up, pinkies together, opening my hands to you like a gift, and then pinkies away. Alrighty, so you should definitely feel that wrist tissue coming to life right there. This one I really enjoy. It's not the most important one, but it really does allow you to use those hands and figure out if you're woodworking, if you're doing pottery, anything like that. Warm up those hands first. I promise it makes a world of a difference, and it's just gonna feel better. You might not even be sore the next day from really working something intrinsic, using your hands and your fingers. So try that out and let me know how it goes. Okay. Last thing we're gonna do is our hip and ankle car. So again, the hip is the most important. That's why I said definitely have a chair close to you, because it's not cheating to save your balance for another time when you're actually working on your balance. If I'm fighting my balance while I'm doing this car, I'm doing nothing for myself, and it's just gonna be a waste of time. And especially that when I'm on one leg and I have the balance, if I fall, it's probably not gonna be great. So the wall or the chair is perfect for this. Whatever you can use to help yourself balance, please do that, okay? I still use a chair too. So don't feel bad about that, just use it, it's there for you. I use the chair or the wall every time, even though I can absolutely balance, but it still helps me get more out of the movement by taking away something I have to worry about. So when we're gonna do the hip car, we're gonna start with the right side. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna bring my leg across my body like I'm scraping an imaginary wall. So there's the imaginary wall, right? I've brought my leg across. Right here, I can already feel my hip tissue come to life. So I'm holding the chair, making sure I'm nice and balanced. Once I have this position, I'm gonna bring my leg up in front of my body. Okay, for myself, my hips are a little tight, so this is about as high as I'm gonna get my knee, but that's okay, I'm working on it, just like you guys are. So I'm right here, you can see I'm rotating my foot inward, I'm bringing out all this tissue. I can feel all of this come to life, okay? So at this point, what I wanna do is I wanna bring my knee towards the outside of my body, trying to keep this leg kicked in as much as I can. Right about here is my end range. Okay, I can't get any further back. It's just not gonna work for me unless I drop this knee. So what I have to do is I take away that external rotation and I bring an internal, and I start to bring my knee down, but my foot back. So it looks like this at the next point. Right about here is when I wanna start to bring that leg around. And this is our rest position basically. It now looks like this. So I started here, I've come up, I've came all the way out, and right about here is my end range. Now I have to rotate that leg through, drop the knee a little bit, the foot comes through, and then this was the position I was just in. Right here is our reset point. I wanna work that glute, I wanna make sure all of those things are happening, so I push that leg back a little bit, feel that glute kick on. From here, we're gonna do abduction. What that looks like, it's moving the hip away from the body. So I bring that leg just like it was, back, activate that glute. Now instead of rotating the foot, I wanna bring the foot to the side. Okay, so knee and foot stay in line to the best of my ability. Right about here, I can't go any further, it's just not gonna work for me. But if I drop that foot and bring that knee higher, then it absolutely will work for me. Right about here is the original position that we're in. External rotation of the foot, bring all that out, and then I drop that back down. That is our hip car. Alrighty, we're gonna do the same exact thing on that left side, and then we're gonna go to the ankle. Alrighty, so just like before, I'm gonna bring my leg up, bring out external rotation. I start to bring my leg around. Right about here is my end range. It's just not gonna work for me. I just can't go any further. I rotate that foot through, in line with the knee. Small circle to bring that back. Rest position. Kick my glute back, abduction, keep the knee and foot in line. Right about here, I can't go any further, I have to drop that foot, keep bringing that knee higher and higher and higher. Right about here, external rotation, and then down. Alrighty, everybody. Last one is the ankle car. Same exact thing as the hand car and the elbow car, where it really just feels nice to be able to move those joints. Same exact thing, you're gonna feel a lot of that tissue come to life. You have two options for this. You can do standing or sitting. It is entirely the same, whether you do either. If I'm sitting, all I'm gonna do is kick out a leg. I push the foot forward like I'm hitting the gas pedal. I then scrape it to the side. Okay, I'm gonna scrape it up, across, and down. And then I would reverse that too after a couple reps. Push the gas pedal down, and then across. We've done this one a million times, right? But it still feels great every time because you really feel all that tissue come to life. And it's the same exact thing if I wanted to do it standing. I would just hold the chair to not worry about my balance. Put Put the leg out, I would scrape it across. Push the gas pedal down, external, up, internal, down, external. Excellent, everybody. All right, I would do that like 2 to 3 times on each side, just to feel good about it. You know, just crank that tissue, just like our shoulders, our arms, anything like that. Feel that tissue, feel really good about it. There's no reason that you can't feel your spine. Even if I can only move from here to here, okay, that's still movement. I can get something out of that, right? So even if my range of motion is my shoulder from here to here, I can still do the car in that range of motion. Okay, and I'm still gonna get something out of it. Before you know it, that goes from there to all the way up here. Okay, it only takes a couple weeks for you to really start to see those improvements. So stick with it, I promise. I know it's tough at times, but the more we do these things, the better and better you're going to be. So please do them. It takes 7 minutes, and just like brushing your teeth, we do it because it's good for us, and we know that, so that's why we do it. Alrighty, so I have some exercises for you guys now. We've done enough of the car routine, just overall moving, right? I would recommend that instead of stretching for 30 seconds or so, whatever you guys do at home, implement the car routine, especially if you have trouble stretching. So if you're at home and you're sitting down and you can't really stretch all that well, skip that and definitely do the cars routine. I think you're gonna get more out of that than a stretch. Science says it takes about 2 full minutes for you to get a benefit of a stretch that's lasting. So at least 2 minutes of you cranking that tissue, that is the start of your tissue responding to that, okay? So I can do the cars routine, the whole thing in less than 10 minutes, and I'm gonna get more out of that than I would 3 or 4 stretches that maybe I don't even do for the full 2 minutes. And then it's just kind of like a Band-Aid with a temporary fix instead of a permanent fix, right? So the cars routine or just full stretching would either help with that, but I do think the cars routine is superior. So try it out and just see how it feels. If it doesn't feel that great to you, maybe switch it up a little bit, but if it does, definitely stick with it. If you cramp and things like that, that is the best thing that can happen to you. So if you do cramp in the cars routine, enjoy that. You're doing it right, love that, live in that, because it's only gonna make you better, okay? So for our exercises, if you don't have dumbbells at home, there are 2 options I have for you. You can go outside and find some small rocks. Anything that weighs a couple pounds, try to just make sure they're even, or cans of soup, right? So a can of soup is roughly about 2 pounds, These are 3. So anything around there that you feel like is a challenge to you would absolutely work. Maybe you have a small piece of like a block of wood or something at home that you can use. Anything that has weight to it would absolutely work. So I want to make sure that we get the full body movements, right? Just like the cars routine. So I'm going to go through a full body routine, and we're just going to make sure that we feel good about it and we've hit all the muscle groups. That way you guys can do this at home. You can follow this routine 3 days a week, twice a week, once a week, whatever you'd like to do. Just get out there and move. That's the #1 thing I'd ever want for anybody. So what we're going to start with, let's start going up to down, just like we did with the car routine. I'm going to start with my shoulders then, okay? So we're going to do some shoulder presses with these. What that looks like, I want to start with my knees slightly bent, okay? And you can absolutely do this standing too, it's up to you, but I'm going to show you standing. Or excuse me, you can do this sitting, but I'm going to show you standing. So bend my knees the tiniest little bit. I just want a nice strong base, feet about shoulder width apart. I'm gonna bring my hands up to my sides, 90 degrees right here, okay? What I wanna do is I'm just gonna press up overhead and then back down to that 90-degree position, okay? And that's what a shoulder press looks like. So we're gonna do 10 of these, and then we're gonna move on to the next exercise. I'm gonna give you guys 3, and then we're gonna circle back and go through them one more time, okay? So let's do 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Alrighty, everybody. That feels pretty good. Shoulders starting to get a little bit in there, a little burny at the end. That's what we're looking for. If you don't feel a lot, that's okay. Try to figure out if you have a heavier weight, or maybe you could do more reps instead of 10, do like 15 if you have low weights or anything like that. But if you are feeling that burn, that is wonderful. Definitely stick to that weight. The next thing that we're gonna do is still shoulder-based as well, but it's a little bit different. I'm gonna give you guys lateral raises. So we just did overhead, but instead of overhead, we're gonna do lateral. So what that looks like, arms start down by my sides. Same exact setup, feet shoulder width apart, bend those knees a little bit. But I bring my arms straight out to the sides, and then back down. We're also gonna do 10 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Alrighty, everybody. For our third exercise, let's add one more thing. Really get those shoulders so then we can move down the rest of the body and feel good about it. Let's do front raises. Just like that. We just bring our arms straight up in front of us. Right about shoulder width. You don't have to go way up here. You can, but you don't have to. Right here would be just fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Alrighty, everybody. So I just showed you 3 different shoulder exercises, right? We're gonna go through those one more time so we can all do it together, whether you're at home, wherever you are, right? And just feel good about it. So remember too that these should be done slow and you want to feel them, right? So again, if you're using low weights and you want to pump it up a little bit, grab different things, maybe have something a little bit heavier than a can of soup, whatever the case may be. Just make sure you're doing the movement with purpose. If I'm just standing here and doing this, I'm probably not gonna get that much out of it, but if I'm nice and controlled, I'm definitely gonna get more out of it, okay? So we're gonna go back through everything that we just did, starting with our shoulder press. So just like before, feet shoulder width apart, slight knee bend. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Excellent. Alrighty. So, just like before too, shoulder raises laterally. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Feeling the burn, everybody. Alrighty. Last one we're gonna do is that front raise one more time. Then I'm gonna move on to a different part of the body, working our way down, making sure we get a full body workout, feeling great after. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Alrighty, everybody. Definitely just hit those shoulders. I can absolutely feel that. Let's say, for example, though, you don't have dumbbells or anything like that at home, but you do have a band. Okay, that could work just as well. I could take this band, right? You can do shoulder pull aparts, things like this. Go overhead, do pull aparts. Anything like that is still gonna work those shoulders, just in a different way, okay? So you're also gonna work that back doing that. A little bit different, but if you don't have the dumbbells or necessary things like that, a band will absolutely work at home too, okay? So don't think that you're just limited to just dumbbells, because there's a million things that we could do body weight that would absolutely help you in your goal of fitness, okay? So the next thing we're gonna do, since we just hit our shoulders, let's try to work our core a little bit and make sure that that is nice and strong too. Every single movement that we do comes from that core, okay? So we need to make sure that's strong. There's multiple ways to do that, but one of the #1 ways that I think people can do it is called a plank, okay? I'm gonna show you what that looks like. I'm gonna put my arms down on my chair, or anything that I have a surface that I can lean on. Something about this height would work just fine. A chair, even a wall, if I'm having trouble with something this height, would be totally fine. I can lean against that wall, walk my legs back a little bit, engage that core, okay? And I'm still gonna feel that, and that's a good starting point. I start at the wall, then I go to a table, then a chair, and then I can start on the floor, and before you know it, I'm strong as can be, okay? So one thing I really want you to keep in mind, tuck your rib cage in. What that means, right here is the very end of my rib cage, that V where your diaphragm is. I want you to take that, and I want you to stick it in your belly button, okay? Just like I was doing with my thoracic spine, that is the exact same thing. What that does, as soon as I stick my rib cage in my belly button, I feel my core kick on, okay? These muscles are all activated now. I wanna hold that. That's how I work those muscles and ensure that those muscles are being used instead of like my low back or anything like that. If I do planks and my low back hurts, think about really engaging that core. It will probably make a world of a difference to you, okay? So just keep that in mind, what it's gonna look like. So, I get into my position, walk my feet back a little bit. Notice I tuck in my core, okay? Right about here, I'm already shaking. I can do this all day, but if I tuck in my core, I can really feel the difference almost instantly, okay? So, if I were at home, I would do that for about 15 to 30 seconds, depending on your own fitness level. And again, it doesn't matter if it's the wall, the chair, the floor, whatever you would like to do, okay? You can absolutely do that. 30 seconds. A minute is like really fit, so if you want to do a minute, absolutely try it out, but if you can't make it, that is perfectly okay. 2 rounds of 30 seconds, 2 rounds of 20 seconds, 1 round of 45 seconds, 1 round of 30 seconds, anything like that will absolutely get you there. You just have to use those muscles, okay? So whether it be that, another way that we can work our core too, holding something out in front of you. So this is only a couple pounds, but if I tuck in my core and engage, hold this out in front of me, before I know it, I really start to feel those muscles kick on, okay? This is 3 pounds, I could do this with 10 pounds, I could do this with 20 pounds. I could even add a level of difficulty and press this. So now I'm working my core and my shoulders at the same time, okay? So don't feel limited to just the plank, because there's a million ways that we could do that, okay? If you have something at home like a band, and let's say, for example, you have a pillar at home or something you could tie the band around, now that just gives me a whole different way to use exercise. So let's say, for example, this is my pillar right here. So I've wrapped it around the chair. I now have this band right here, okay? And for demonstration purposes, I'm gonna hop down on my knees so it's level, but at home, ideally it would be a little bit higher up. So what I'm gonna do is what I call a chop. I'm gonna take this band, okay? I'm gonna come out a little bit to the side, so I have to start with that band on the side of me. I'm gonna grab this with both. I want my arms away from me, and I wanna make sure that my core is tucked in, okay, to start. So, that didn't work as well as I would, I hoped it would, but I'll do it with one hand just to demonstrate. So if I have both hands on here, right, I'm gonna bring that across my body, right, and what that's gonna do, I'm instantly gonna feel that core again, okay? So if I did that 10 times in a row, where I'm really focusing on chopping that band across my body, I'm instantly going to feel that core kick on, okay? So ideally, like you would at home, you'd have 2 hands doing that, but unfortunately my little device moves. So I'm gonna pull that across the body. If I want a different challenge, okay, more of like a static hold like a plank, because that's easier for me, pull it a little bit and just hold it in place. So I can hold that in the middle of myself and I would still really, really feel that core, okay? I could even take this band and I could step on it. If you want to do that at home, I can step right in the middle of it, hold both, stand nice and tall, hold my hands out here. This is a plank. It is pulling down on me. I feel that in my core, I promise you. So 30 seconds of holding that, and that is gonna absolutely work your core as well. So figure out whether you can chop with the band, you can hold it out in front of you, either from the side for lateral resistance, or you can have vertical resistance, stepping on it and holding it out in front of you, or you could do your plank, you could hold out a weight, you could press the weight out in and out in front of you. Whatever you'd like to do, as long as you work that core, I promise you're gonna feel it, and your core is the most important thing in your body, so definitely do that, okay? I recommend hitting the core every day. There's really no reason not to. You can keep it light, you can keep it intense, whatever you'd like to do, just work it because it's gonna be good for you. If our core isn't strong, then I am not strong. If I don't have a strong core, this is gonna be me when I'm old, okay? And we definitely don't wanna be in that position because a strong gust of wind could put you right on the floor, and before you know it, then we can't get up because our core isn't strong, right? So if that's the case, definitely don't let that happen, okay? Even at 80 years old, I can improve my core strength, I promise you, I absolutely can. I have people that come into this class that are 80 years old, I have them jumping, I have them doing all types of core work. You can do it too, I promise you. Don't just give up on yourself, just make it happen. It's as easy as holding that band up for 1 minute a day to start, okay? Then we get up to 2 minutes, and before you know it, you can do planks, you can do sit-ups, you can do whatever you want, right? We can absolutely do those things, we just have to stick with it. I promise it will make sense in the end. I know it's not the most comfortable thing in the moment, but stick with it because it's gonna work. Especially like the cars routine, any core work, anything like that, just do it. You know, eventually it'll be fun. And before you know it, you'll look forward to it. Alrighty, so we've hit our shoulders and our core so far. Okay, we have more muscle groups like our arms and things that I want to show too. So let's take a backtrack for example. I'm gonna hit your biceps and your triceps real quick. Only takes about a minute to do this. So let's take these dumbbells. I'm gonna stand nice and tall, feet shoulder width apart. I'm going to curl the weight, bringing my palms up as I start. So they start neutral and I end up with my hands facing towards the back of me, right? So this is our full curl. So we would ideally do 10 of those. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Alright, the next thing that we can do too, instead of our bicep, it's the exact opposite. This is our tricep, right? So that's responsible for pushing motions. Biceps are responsible for pulling motions, right? You should be well-rounded in both of those. When you think of a heavy door, pushing that, right? I use those triceps in my core. If I'm not strong enough to push that door on a windy day, I'm definitely in trouble. I can't get in, right? So if we have that strength, that prerequisite to do those things, it's gonna make a lot more sense. So working on it now will definitely make sense when you need that strength, okay? So working those triceps, I'll show you 2 ways real quick, super easy. The first one that I can do is I can actually just bring my arm above myself with the weight. And what that's gonna look like, I'm gonna let my elbow bend, okay, 90 degrees, and then I drive my arm back through. This is working my tricep. This is called a skull crusher. This is a standing skull crusher. I can also do this laying down. Okay? And I can feel that tricep coming to life because I'm engaging by pushing that tricep back through. Okay? If you don't want to bring the weight over your head, no problem. I can take this band, fold it in half, right? The top hand is going to pinch right to my chest. The other hand is about midway down the band. Even at the end, you want to make it a little easier. Up closer would be a little harder. I'm going to pinch this against myself. And the same exact thing, I push that tricep out, push my hand down and out to the side. I can feel that tricep come to life. And if I want a little bit more of a challenge, I would just choke up. And I can really feel that tricep working to push that band down. Okay, and obviously I could do 10 on that side. And then I would just switch 10 on this side as well. Okay. So that's how we work our biceps and our triceps. I want to just reiterate everything that we just did real quick. So we talked about the core and how essential it is to your everyday life. So make sure when you're doing those things, tuck in that rib cage, feel that belly, right? Make sure that everything's nice and rock hard, and then we can start those sets. So I showed you things like we had the plank, right? Make sure you tuck in that rib cage. I would hold this again. 2 rounds of about 30 seconds or so. That would definitely do it. Okay, we have that. I can take this band and I can do chops and things with it, or I can stand on the band, hold it right in the middle of me. I can hold it up. Tuck in that core, really make sure you're breathing. I really feel that core working on things like that, okay? So definitely do those at home. And the other things we just focused on too with the biceps and triceps. We had curls, we did 10 of those, right? We could also do dumbbell skull crushers. Okay, you can do those standing or laying down, entirely up to you. And then we also had the tricep press with the band. Okay, so there's all different types of ways that you can hit your core, your shoulders, whatever you'd like to, okay? The next thing that I'm gonna focus on is our legs, and then we're gonna go down to the calves to finish, okay? So with our legs, there's a million ways to do this too. The number one way I would say for building overall strength is just practicing our squat, right? So a lot of us probably don't do this all that much, but we definitely should. Getting up and down is not that easy for a lot of us. As we get older, our muscles start to break down, right? We're not as strong as we used to be, but that doesn't mean we still can't be strong in our own sense, right? So it looks just like this. I sit down and come back up, okay? All I'm doing is using my arms in front of me as a counterweight, holding to keep that weight forward so I don't just fall backwards, right? I'll show you from the side what that looks like too. I wanna make sure that my knees aren't just going way out in front of me. As soon as this happens, my heels lift up. That's not great. I wanna make sure my heels stay on the floor the entire time. It's great for distributing weight equally, right? So make sure the heels stay down. I'm basically sitting into the chair behind me. I just touch, and then I'm gonna come back up, okay? That's all it looks like, just touch, and come back up. If that's a little bit more difficult for you, I can absolutely sit for a second, and come back up out of that, okay? A little bit of an extra challenge Instead of sitting down, just hover above the chair and then come away from it, okay? If you don't need the chair at all, that's perfectly okay. If I can just squat without the chair, then I would prefer using that. But if you need the chair, absolutely use that chair, okay? If you feel like you're a little bit more advanced, I have a couple more options for you too. You say, if I can do 12 squats and it's kind of easy for me, then I should definitely think about different ways to do that, whether I take a weight with me, and now I can do a goblet squat. Okay, so I've now added an external load to make it a little bit difficult. Or I can do things like a single leg squat, where I start seated, I kick one leg out, and now I use only the one leg to get up and down, okay? This leg can stay on the ground. I have my heel dug into the ground. It allows me to push just a little bit of pressure through this leg to make it easier, or I could lift that completely and use just the one leg and my balance to get up and down, okay? This would be super advanced, so if you're really not comfortable with that, don't even worry about that. I would focus on this way before I did with just the pistol squat. It's entirely up to you, but again, you should be able to get about 12 regular squats before you go on to the next thing, okay? So if you can't get that, let's focus on making sure that your squats look really, really good. Get 2 sets of 10, 2 sets of 12, anything like that, okay? Alrighty, so one more thing that we can do as well, also advanced, but you can absolutely try it. And I can use a chair or I don't need to, it's entirely up to you. This is a lunge, okay? So my end position should be 90 degrees, 90 degrees. If it doesn't look like this, if I'm here, I'm gonna have a much harder time getting up off the ground. I have no good leverage, no mechanical advantage. I can't push up off this leg easily anymore, okay? So I really wanna make sure that I'm at 90 degrees, 90 degrees. I can do 2 different ways. I can either stay in this position and come up and down, or I can come all the way up. I can come all the way down. Or if I want, instead of reverse lunge, I can do a forward lunge. I can walk lunges. Okay, whatever feels more comfortable to you, definitely do that. There is nothing wrong too with holding a chair while I do that lunge. You might be somewhere in between. Squatting is too easy for you, but this is too difficult. Now I have this chair for support. And now I can do this, okay? So if that's the case where you're like, hey, one's too hard, one's too easy, use the chair because it's absolutely still gonna help you get that strength. You don't have to worry about falling because I can take away the balance aspect and just help myself guide just a little bit with that chair, okay? So we've gone over our legs, so just to reiterate, we had our regular squat. We can use the chair or we don't need the chair, right? The squat just looks like that. Remember too, if you don't need it, I want to come all the way down, fold up. Looks pretty good, but I shouldn't be doing this. The knee should not be coming forward, okay? So make sure that's not happening to you. If that is happening, it's probably gonna feel uncomfortable. If that's the case, right? Squat in the mirror, watch yourself, right? If you see yourself doing that, we have to correct that. It just means you just gotta push your butt back more, and instantly you notice the degree of my knees isn't above my toes anymore, right? We don't want that. We want to be here. So if you're here, just push your butt back. Alrighty, everybody. So we had our squats, we had our lunges, and we had our single leg squats. I call these kickstand squats. Okay, if I'm using my leg as a kickstand, or I can do pistol squat where this is all the way up, and I just get up and down with just the one leg. But again, that one is pretty advanced. So do about 12 regular squats before you move on to those other things, okay? Because it's only gonna help you, I promise. Alrighty guys, the last thing that we're gonna work on today is our calves besides our balance. But for muscle groups go, this is the last thing. So you have 2 options with your calves. We can do a seated calf raise where my legs are 90 degrees, just like I was gonna squat, okay? But instead of squatting, I can either add weight or push down onto my calves, or excuse me, my knees down into my calves, and I just lift my heels straight up off the ground. Right here, I really feel all that tissue come to life. I've contracted my calves as much as I can, okay? I'm gonna bring them down. I'm gonna go all the way back up. If I were to do these, I do about 20 of these, right? Your calves are used so much every day by every step that you take that it takes a lot for them to gain some strength and to grow, okay? So you really need to put some effort into this. 20 reps is not out of the question. You could do 30 seconds of calf raises, whatever you'd like to do. Just do a lot because like I said, if they're not gonna grow or adapt unless you do that because every single day you're walking around using those muscles, okay? So 20 reps, 20 seconds, somewhere around there, okay? If that's a little bit easier for you, then I can do this. Then I can do standing calf raises, right? Same exact thing, except I'm standing up. Of course, I can put my hand on the chair, help myself balance. If that's easy for you, I could do one eccentric calf raise, what it looks like. Both come up. I take one foot off the ground, and then I slowly come down with the other foot, okay? Same thing on the other side. Slowly come down with that, right? I can obviously use the chair to help me balance with that. I would just come up, lift one foot, and then slowly let that foot down. I really work that single side calf. Great for strength. Let's say, for example, you had an ankle injury, right? And this calf is just not as strong as the other one due to atrophy. Well, something like that would absolutely help that single side pick up its strength again and match the other side, okay? So don't be afraid to do things like that. If the one side just needs a little bit extra love, 2 sets on this side, 3 sets on this side, okay? And before you know it, it'll absolutely come back. But don't do that unless you have an injury or something serious that's happening with that side, because an imbalance probably could happen over time. But if that side is already weaker, it's already predisposed to weakness, let's get that side strong again so we can work on both to make sure that we are well-rounded and able to do anything like hop up a curb. If the curb is about this high, do I have the strength to be able to kick off of that heel and make that jump happen? If I don't, I'm probably gonna fall on that curb, right? So that doesn't breed confidence. So I know I wanna be able to do something like that, but I can't do that unless I have the calf and ankle strength to make that happen, okay? So definitely work on that. Now, so we've gone through our full body workout, right? I've hit your arms, your shoulders, your core, your legs, and your calves. So what do we have left? Balance. My favorite, my absolute favorite, okay? So working balance is absolutely essential, I promise you. If you can't just stand here, that is a problem. If you feel like you have to be down here when you're walking and you don't feel confident, I'm shuffling my feet, right? I'm not taking real steps. A lot of people do that because they just don't have the confidence to lift their leg up anymore. I don't have that single leg stability. I don't have that single leg strength or the confidence to just sit in those positions, right? For a lot of us, if I said, hey, just stand here for 30 seconds with your foot up, a lot of us probably wouldn't be able to do that, right? But we can absolutely improve those things by working on that, right? So during my normal Counsel on Aging class, every single time we meet, balance has to be worked, right? I have people coming up to me all the time, Jarrid, you help me with my balance so much. Awesome. Do it at home too. I can't just be the one helping you. You have to help you, right? When you're at home, every single day, you have doorways, right? Sit in that doorway real quick. Okay, 30 seconds, 30 seconds. Take the hands away. I can tap the sides, right? If I'm having trouble balancing, I'm swaying, I can use a chair, right? I can do little taps on the chair, right? Just things like that will help me balance, okay? There's all these tools. I can hold a wall, like I said, in the doorway. Whatever the case may be, you can absolutely do those things. Start with 15 seconds. Then we go to 20 seconds next week. Then we're at 25, then 30. Before you know it, I can sit on one leg all day and it's no problem. But if we can't do that, that's where we're at that detriment. So let's make sure that our balance is definitely being worked. And again, not a bad idea to do this every day. So some of the things that I like to do for balance, the number one thing that I do is just have you stand on one leg, okay? So you have the chair. Again, you can do little taps. If I just death grip this chair, I'm not really working my balance anymore, okay? So let's say, for example, I would have you stand here for 20 seconds. One trick that I know that definitely works, find a spot in the room and just stare at it, okay? What that's gonna do is it's gonna make your focus happen on that spot. You're not worried about yourself balancing anymore. You just kind of get better at it because you're focused on that spot. Before you know it, you don't even move. And I'm just looking at that one spot. So when you're at home, let's do a single leg stand for 20 seconds on each side, okay? So 20 seconds, and then I would do this 20 seconds, and then come back one more time to each side. It might not be that comfortable, you might fall over a little bit. That's perfectly okay. Go in the doorway, make sure that you can tap both sides, grab a chair, whatever the case may be. Just make sure that you're safe with it, and you'll definitely start to improve though. But if we start falling, it doesn't breed confidence. So let's make sure that you take away the idea of the fall entirely, and before I know it, I'm not even worried about it. And then I can jump up on those curbs and things without even thinking about it, okay? So the single leg stand is great. We can do different variations of that. Single leg, I can do single leg out. I can do single leg behind me. I can do a single leg right back, slight RDL, where now I've completely shifted my weight distribution. This is tougher than this because not only is my weight vertical, so everything is centralized on that leg, now I've taken that away. Now I have counterweight behind me, I have counterweight out to the side, my head weighs something. My weight is distributed entirely different. Now it feels different, but it's harder to balance, but it still feels really good for that one leg. So you're gonna get a lot of ankle stability, a lot of ankle strength, calf strength, quad strength, things like that. Dexterity comes from those things, right? So the more we do those things, the stronger your legs will get and the better they will be at doing those things. Before you know it, you will adapt and your balance will improve, okay? So if single leg is pretty hard for you, if I can't just hang out here, even in the doorway I'm constantly falling, that's totally okay. We have different options. Let's say, for example, tandem stance. One leg right in front of the other. I'll show you from the side as well. This is what tandem stance looks like. I can balance like this. If this is really difficult for my leg to be right in front of the other leg, then I can walk this leg out to the side a little bit. It's still pretty close to tandem, but now I just have a little bit more of a space of support. If I have to, I can go all the way out here. Of course, I could be on my toes. I could be here on my toes, right? Anything like that will absolutely work. I just have to find what works for me, okay? So don't feel ashamed if I can't do this, but I have to be out here. That's okay, because it's still gonna help improve your balance, and over time, that leg will absolutely find itself behind the other leg, and then closer and closer until the most difficult spot can be achieved, okay? So just work on it, because I promise it's gonna get better. We just have to work on those things, that's all it is. So let's say that the tandem stance is working for you, but you feel though you could do a little bit more of a challenge, but you're not quite ready for this single leg. Have I something for you? So we are going to do a weight pass. Everybody in my class loves these, and when I say that, they really don't. So get this out of the way. What this is a tandem stance, okay, or a single leg, but I'm passing a weight between each hand. Okay, so this is definitely something that I give the class, but it is pretty difficult, okay? So you can see my leg that's on the ground is definitely doing a lot of work to stabilize, okay? So that's what we're looking for. You have a couple options with this one. I can do just like I was before, the single leg, slight lean forward into it, pass that weight back and forth, okay? I can do over the head, circles, okay, which is difficult still. I can keep it low, make it a little bit easier for myself. If those things are hard, then I can absolutely do that tandem stance that we were talking about before, foot on the ground, and now I can do that weight pass, but I still have to deal with an external load, so it's still absolutely gonna sway me, okay? And again, too, if I have to be here, that is perfectly okay. The balance is still being worked, so I wouldn't worry about that. Whatever feels good to you is just what we're looking for, okay? I could even do single leg press outs. Okay, I could do a press out, slight RDL, come back up, things like that. That's pretty advanced, but if you have the capability to do that, please try it. I have given those in the class before. I know people can do them. So if you were one of those people that could do it before or want to try it, please do, but just remember, I can hold that in one hand if the wall's right here. I can still use that wall to help balance, okay? So just do whatever feels good to you. Another thing that I love doing with the class as well, we call it karaoke, okay, and what that looks like. So the idea of the karaoke, I have to cross my feet in front of each other, okay? If I can't do that, I can't do the karaoke. So I need to be able to do that at the front. So make sure that you have the balance to be able to do this. We're gonna go in front, foot comes back through, and then I go behind. Foot comes in front, over, back, behind, okay? So what that looks like. You know, I can speed it up a little bit. Right? So something like that is called the karaoke. It's all about moving, right? I have to swing my hips, I have to turn, I have to adjust, I have to balance everything. Everything that's happening to me, I have to worry about, right? So I like to do that with the class. We go back and forth for about 20 seconds. Any space that you have will work, right? Just make it happen for yourself. Take it nice and slow to start. And again, it's really not that hard. Once I figure it out, notice my arms start to sway, right? It's all about coordination and balance, okay? So as soon as I get better at it, right, I can start to get that movement. That might trip some people up, so just be careful. I can absolutely do that in a hallway, but the more that we do those things, the better and better I get at moving, right? If the karaoke is a little intense for you, no problem. I'm sure we all remember skipping as a kid, right? You have so many options. It might seem silly, but skipping is a great way to move, right? You don't think about it, but you have to be in rhythm. Notice my arms and legs move at the same time, right? Cross-body movement is essential. When I walk, it's always cross-body. Notice my arm and leg, opposite arm and leg every single time. If I'm not doing that, I don't have good cross-body movement, I'm not efficient in my movements, okay? So if karaokeing is hard for you, skip. If that's hard, keep it low skips. Right? Anything like that will work. As long as you're doing these things, you absolutely will improve, right? So just do these things. That's my number one advice to you, because as I said earlier, just like brushing your teeth, it's good for you. You know you should do it. You absolutely have 10 minutes, right? We could do the whole cars routine, another 15 minutes on top of that, full body exercise. We can absolutely make this happen, right? We just have to get out there and do it. Thank you everybody so much for tuning in and watching this. I very much appreciate it. I hope to see all of you soon. I miss seeing all of your faces and things. I hope to see new people as well come into the class so we can just grow this and have a wonderful experience. I hope you're all staying safe, having fun, and just making sure that you're living the best life that you can. Enjoy yourself, everybody. Have a great day.